Have you ever stopped to think about how your body juggles the trillions of chemical reactions that are happening every single second? It's not just about hitting the go button. It's also about knowing exactly when and how to hit stop. Well, that's what we're diving into today. The body's incredible system of built-in off switches, a process called enzyme inhibition. So, to get us started, let's think about something we've all probably wondered about. You get a headache, you pop an aspirin, and somehow it just seems to magically know where the pain is. But how? How does a simple pill figure out where in your body it needs to go to do its job? And here's the answer, which might actually surprise you. It doesn't. A painkiller has no clue where your pain is. It doesn't have some kind of biological GPS. It actually goes to work everywhere in your body, all at once. And to understand how that's even possible and why it's such a clever trick, we've got to look at the basic mechanics of how our bodies operate. It all comes down to a really beautiful and simple idea called the lock and key model. Just imagine your body is like a massive building with millions upon millions of locked doors, and each one of those doors controls one very specific action. In this picture, the lock is something we call an enzyme. It's a type of protein, and its job is to kick off one single specific chemical reaction. Now, to open that lock, you need the perfect key, and that key is a molecule called a substrate. When the right key slides into the right lock, boom, the door swings open and the reaction gets going. And get this isn't happening once in a while. It's happening constantly. We're talking millions of times a second. Everything from digesting your lunch, to building new cells, to sending signals through your nerves. It all depends on the right key finding the right lock at exactly the right time. It's this incredible system of precision, happening on a massive scale. But what happens when one of those reactions needs to be slowed down, or even stopped completely? What if, say, that reaction is the very thing causing you pain or inflammation? Well, that's when your body, or sometimes a medicine, calls in the party crashers. An inhibitor is really just a molecule that gets in the way. Think of it like a party crasher who just stands right in front of the door, not letting the person with the key get inside. Its whole job is to block that lock and key process and stop the reaction from ever starting. But, as we're about to see, not all party crashers have the same MO. All right, let's start with the most direct method. Meet our first kind of party crasher. We'll call this one the imposter key. This is a classic example of what's known as competitive inhibition. Okay, so picture this. The real key, our substrate, is heading right for its lock. But, oh no. The imposter key, our inhibitor, is shaped just enough like the real key that it can slip into the keyhole first. Now, it doesn't actually open the door, it just sits there, jamming the lock, so the real key is totally blocked out. So this is the main takeaway right here. It's a head-to-head race for that one specific spot on the enzyme, a spot scientists call the active site. You can just think of it as the keyhole. Whichever molecule gets there first, whether it's the real key or the imposter, wins that round. But just blocking the keyhole, well, that's not the only way to keep a door from opening. There are other, sneakier ways to get the job done. So let's meet our next two party crashers, the vandal and the saboteur. So here we've got two totally different strategies. First up is the vandal. This is non-competitive inhibition. This molecule doesn't even try to go for the keyhole. Nope. Instead, it attaches to a completely different part of the enzyme. And in doing so, it actually warps the entire lock, changing its shape so the real key doesn't fit anymore. Then you've got the saboteur. This is called uncompetitive inhibition, and it's pretty clever. This one actually waits for the key to already be in the lock, and then it binds to the whole thing, jamming the mechanism so the door is stuck shut. Okay, let's just do a super quick recap. You've got the imposter, which competes directly for the keyhole. You've got the vandal, which binds somewhere else and changes the lock's shape. And you have the saboteur, which waits until the key is already in the lock and then jams the whole thing. Three very different strategies, but they all have the same goal: stop that reaction. So, okay, we've got these imposters and vandals and saboteurs running around inside us. Why does any of this matter? Well, this is where it all comes together, and we get back to that original question about the painkiller. It turns out, this whole process is one of modern medicine's most powerful tricks. And here it is, the big aha moment. The reason aspirin works isn't because it magically finds your pain. It's because aspirin is just a really, really well-designed party crasher. It's an enzyme inhibitor. It travels through your whole body and just blocks the specific enzyme that's responsible for making the molecules that signal pain and inflammation. And it's not just aspirin, not by a long shot. This principle is absolutely everywhere in medicine.
Penicillin? It works by inhibiting an enzyme that bacteria need to build their cell walls. Those cholesterol-lowering drugs, like statins, they work by inhibiting a key enzyme your body uses to make cholesterol. They're all just highly specialized imposters and vandals that we've designed to help us out.
When you really think about it, this shows such an incredible level of understanding of our own biology. We figured out how to pinpoint the exact locks we need to block, and then we've learned how to design the perfect party crashers to do the job. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question. If this is what we can already do just by learning how to turn things off, what's going to be possible as we get even smarter at controlling these tiny, fundamental machines of life?